In this video, we're going to go over the logical operators not, and or. And we will start with the not operator since it has the highest precedence. And the not operator simply negates whatever the Boolean value to its right is. So here we have a equals b, which is 5 equals 10, which is false, but this not operator is going to negate that false value and make it true. So when I run it, we get the output true. And it works the same for true values. If I have this here, which is 5 is not equal to 10, then that is a true value, but the not is going to negate that and make it false. And when I run that, we'll see that it outputs false. The next operator we'll look at is the AND operator. And the AND operator requires that the Booleans on either side of it to be true for the entire thing to evaluate to true. If either the left or right side of the AND operator is false, the entire evaluation will be false. So if I have A is less than B and C is less than D, when I run this, we're going to get the evaluation of true because 5 is less than 10 and 10 is less than 15. Now, if I were to switch this symbol here to say A is less than B and C is greater than D, which 10 is not greater than 15, we have a true on the left side and a false on the right side. So when I run this, I'm going to get false. So again, with the AND, both Booleans on either side of it have to be true for the entire thing to evaluate to true. And the last logical operator is the OR operator, which requires that either the left or the right side be true for the entire evaluation to be true. So if I have B is equal to C, or C is equal to D, B is equal to C is 10 is equal to 10, which is true, or C is equal to D, which is 10 is equal to 15, which is false, but because the value on the left side is true, the entire thing is going to evaluate to true, which we see here in our output. Now, if I were to say B is not equal to C or C is equal to D, so we have a false on the left side and a false on the right side. When I run that, we get the output false. However, if I were to change this so that the evaluation on the right side is true, such as C is less than D, when I run that, we get true again. So now let's look at combining these logical operators together. And I'm going to put these evaluations into parentheses just to make them a little easier to read. So we'll check A is less than B and C is greater than A, or A is equal to 5. So when we look at this, the first thing that's going to happen is the AND is going to evaluate A is less than B and C is greater than A, which both evaluate to true. So that evaluation is going to come out to true. And then it's going to check OR A is equal to 5, which is also true. So since both the left and the right side of this OR are going to evaluate to true, the entire thing is going to be true. And let's look at another example. So we'll do not, and then in parentheses, we will do A is less than B, or D is less than A. And then outside the parentheses, we will do or B is greater than D. Now, when this evaluates, it's going to check the parentheses first. So it's going to be A is less than B, which is true, or D is less than A, which is false. So this whole thing is going to evaluate to true. And then this not here is going to negate that true value, make it false. So then it's going to be false or B is greater than D, which is also false. And the entire thing is going to come back as false. So that's what we get right here. Now let's look at one more that uses all three, but I'm going to remove all these variables and just use the true and false values just to make it a little easier to see. So I'm going to do result equals, and we're going to do true or false and not true. And since there was no parentheses used here, the way that this is going to go is it's first going to evaluate this not true here, which is going to come out to be false. And then it's going to evaluate the and, so it's going to be false and false, which is going to evaluate to false. And then last, it's going to check the or, so it's going to be true or false, which is going to come out to true. And when I run that, we'll see that we get the output true down here. Logical operators can be a little bit confusing when you first start using them, especially when you're using the not operator. Anytime you're thinking about stuff in a negative way, it usually doesn't quite sit right, and it takes a little while to practice and understand it. But after some trial and error, I'm sure you will understand it just fine.